talking about how last year as the Reverse Flash, I never lied. It was my mission to not lie to Barry, to not purposely lead him astray, to keep things from him that could be damaging or would spin him off in a direction. And we had that conversation on episode 7, because it came up that in one of the writer's drafts, I was, just directly lying to him about what was happening. I say that's not necessary. They've had this relationship for 15 years. It would be amazing if, he'd been able to marshal all this time with this person and treat him respectfully, or as respectfully as he could. So in terms of, that was a nice little twist, which I don't think a lot of people were up on, and we had the same thing going in a different way, which I won't reveal, but those attentive will kind of see it. It all involves the mission that I'm on, much as last year was on a pretty momentous mission. Momentous for the show. I'm not trying to be self-serving, but this year is similar, and it's fun, and I think it's going to be visually fun to see, perhaps even more so in the earlier stages than last season was, which is saying a lot. But visually, I think that will hold true.
Last year, you or Wells had to kind of hide his evil intentions behind a veneer of kindness. The guys earlier had said that Harrison's kind of a dick this year. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you're getting to play a different kind of antagonist?
Well, it wasn't written that way, and that's how I decided to do it, because I think it wasn't anybody's fault that it wasn't written that way, but the vestiges of how I played the character last year were, still present in everybody's mind, and the synapses were firing the same way. Well, we'll just write him this way because he looks the same way and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, this seemed to me to be a massive opportunity to turn the tables. Harrison Wells, Eobard as Harrison last year was, there was a certain intelligence and charm and mannered way to him, thoughtfulness. And I think the expectation was that this same person coming from Earth 2 would be like that. And my thought was, why? And if he's much more brusque and arrogant and generates conflict, then I think all the better for the show and all the better for me to play that. So he I would like to say it'll be up to yourselves and the viewers to decide, but I think there's a quite an apparent difference, and I think necessarily there should be. I also think, given the people that do watch this show, I think, and how passionate they are, I think there's going to be a lot of vitriol directed my way this season, and I think that's fine. I will say this, much as the 15 years, the nice thing that the writers did last year is everything that Eobard did was justified. He had his plan. He completely believed in his plan, and the character that I'm playing this year is similarly committed. You can use similarly committed and do what you will with that.
This is take on the Star Labs team, and they understandably have feelings about him, but since he's presumably coming in fresh to them, what is his take on them and what they're doing? I
think you'll see really early on what their take is. I don't want to spoil the early on where we have that kind of Star Labs introduction. I think it'll be a disservice, but it'll be readily apparent what he thinks of them. His ego is not lacking. let me put it that way. His confidence in his own abilities. I think last year, Eobard, imitating the deceased Harrison Wells, had the perspective to see intelligence across the board, and knowing he was going to be there for a while to implement his plan, realize that these people were allies and that their intelligence was helpful and that we would defeat these, we would overcome these obstacles together. I think the current character is a lot less about togetherness.
Well, what can you tell us about Harrison and Jay? Because when we spoke to Teddy earlier, he says they are aware of each other, they know each other.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are, much as we, in the same way we had a push me pull you relationship last year between the Flash and Harrison. We have. I don't know if the word similar applies, but we certainly do have a relationship. You've taken two of the greatest personalities, or greatest is an amorphous word, but two of the larger personalities from Earth 1, you put them together, and in this season you've taken two of the larger personalities from Earth 2 and put them together. It would be insane, and it would be, I think, structurally irresponsible to not carve out storylines there, which we have in abundance. I think it's a masterful stroke personally. It's just my own personal opinion. Introducing, as we did in 23, and then explored it in this season, or exploring this season, Jay Garrick. I think that's just great, and so our urging is for them to continue. The viewers won't be disappointed in terms of, and I think as actors we've sort of escalated in there. And I won't give away what that is, but again, like the initial thing I said, I think the more conflict that you have to overcome when you're telling a superhero story, the better.
We've already established that Harrison Wells from Earth 2 doesn't ingratiate himself to Team Flash. Are there any characters with which he does find a more positive connection?
It's not necessarily that. I mean, yeah, he doesn't ingratiate himself, but the nice thing is like imagine you're cast off into space and you've got these are your 6 bedfellows and it doesn't matter, you're in this together. There's goals that we have to attain. We don't like each other, but everybody knows that we have to achieve these goals, or everybody is in big trouble. I wouldn't say that this isn't one of those things where they're all jack wagons, but he's okay. Harrison's worldview is I think Harrison is an intelligent character the way it's been laid out, but his scope is extremely narrow.